Not every bag with the word granola on the front deserves a spot in your pantry. Most of them are built on clever marketing, shrinking serving sizes, and layers of sweeteners hiding behind wholesome words. What looks like fuel for your morning is often just candy with a health halo. In this countdown, we rank 9 granolas from bad number 9 to absolute worst number 1, meaning the higher the number, the worse the product. Then we flip the script and highlight 2 granolas that actually hold up, ranked from decent number 1 to the best clean pick number 2. Let's get into it. The worst 9. Nature Valley Oats and Dark Chocolate Protein Granola. Open this bag expecting hearty oats, and what you get are glossy, chocolate-coated clusters that shine like candy under the light. Sugar is the second ingredient and shows up again as the fourth. A 2/3 cup serving packs 280 calories and 18 grams of sugar. That exceeds more than half of what the American Heart Association recommends women consume in an entire day. For men, it still clears half the daily safe limit. Nature Valley stamps the word protein across the front in bold letters, pushing the image of fitness fuel. But the real picture is protein drenched in chocolate and bound together with sugar. One community forum put it bluntly: it's basically candy with a few oats tossed in. Seniors are hit the hardest. The sugar surge spikes blood glucose. The caffeine in the chocolate delivers another jolt. For anyone on heart or blood pressure medication, this isn't just empty calories, it's a spike and crash cycle that can actively interfere with treatment. Europe applies stricter rules on how much sugar can hide inside cereals sold as energy food. Here in the US, brands like this get a wide open lane. Skip the shiny clusters. At home, mix plain rolled oats with unsweetened cocoa nibs and a handful of nuts. You get the crunch, the flavor, and actual nutrition, without flooding your system with sugar. 8. Quaker Simply Granola Oats, apples, cranberries, and almonds. Pour it out and each cluster feels tacky, like it's been soaked in syrup and left to set. The fruity smell is there, but it leans closer to dried candy than fresh apples or tart cranberries. Flip the label and sugar shows up as the second and third ingredient. 2 layers of added sweeteners before you even reach the almonds. A single 2/3 cup serving delivers 260 calories and 17 grams of sugar, nearly matching the sugar load in a bowl of frosted flakes. And dried fruit already carries natural sugar, so adding another 17 grams of refined sweetener essentially doubles the burden on your body. For seniors, this is more than just disappointing. Blood sugar spikes hard. Kidneys scramble to filter the overflow. If you're managing insulin or blood pressure meds, that so-called wholesome bowl can leave you shaky and foggy within the hour. Nutritionists have called this granola out directly. It's closer to candy-coated cereal than a genuine health food. That sticky sweetness isn't just flavor, either. Sugar extends shelf life. Quaker keeps it looking fresh for months while your body absorbs the cost. Want to avoid the trap? Toast plain rolled oats, add real apple slices and a handful of almonds, and sweeten with a pinch of cinnamon or a light drizzle of honey if needed. Flavor without the glucose crash. 7. Simple Truth Mixed Berry Granola. The bag markets itself as nature's path, clean, wholesome, and berry forward. Open it up and the clusters don't look like something from a farmer's market. They shine, they clump, they feel more like candied rocks than oats and fruit. 250 calories per serving and 20 grams of sugar. That's practically the same sugar hit as a Kit Kat bar. The berries aren't doing the heavy lifting here. Refined sweeteners are. What you taste isn't the tartness of cranberries or the brightness of blueberries. It's the stickiness of processed syrup baked into every cluster. For seniors, this crosses from disappointing into dangerous territory. The sugar spike stresses the kidneys, raises blood pressure, and clashes with medications. Pair this with a sweetened cup of coffee and you've already hit your daily sugar ceiling before 9 a.m. Nutritionists have flagged Simple Truth as genuinely misleading. A product that presents itself as the responsible choice while delivering dessert for breakfast. The fix is straightforward. Plain Greek yogurt topped with frozen berries, a handful of walnuts or almonds, and no processed sugar inside. 6. Safe Plus Fair Cake Granola. Open this bag and rainbow sprinkles greet you, pressed into pale clusters like confetti glued together with sugar paste. It doesn't smell like oats. It smells like the frosting aisle, sweet, artificial, and faintly chemical. Here's where the label game kicks in. A serving is listed as just 1/3 of a cup, barely a handful. In that small scoop, you're already swallowing 9 grams of sugar. Pour a realistic bowl at 2/3 of a cup and you've doubled that to 18 grams. More than half of a woman's daily safe limit gone before you've left the kitchen. Nutritionists call this one of the oldest corporate tricks in the book. Shrink the serving size and the sugar number looks smaller than it really is. One food forum whistleblower put it directly, they're not selling granola. They're selling cake crumbs with a plant-based stamp. For seniors managing diabetes, kidney stress, or blood pressure meds, that kind of sugar surge hits harder and takes longer to recover from. The FDA allows this serving size sleight of hand. In Europe, stricter labeling laws force companies to report sugar per 100 grams, which would make this product scream high sugar instead of hiding behind sprinkles. Skip the corporate cake mix. Plain rolled oats, chopped nuts, and cinnamon give you texture, flavor, and fiber without the trick label. 5. 365 Whole Foods organic granola, oat and honey. Pour it out and the clusters have a dull sheen, like they've been brushed with sugar water. The bite is stiff, dry, and oddly sweet in a way that feels more candy-coated than oat-based. The word organic is doing a lot of work on this bag. It sounds clean, safe, and premium. But flip the label and you find 240 calories per half cup and 15 grams of sugar. That's the same hit as a glazed donut, hiding behind a green USDA organic seal. What experts point out is this: organic only means the crops were grown without synthetic pesticides. It says nothing about how much processed sugar ended up in the final product. Many seniors reach for Whole Foods products assuming they're automatically safer. With sugar loads like this, the opposite is often true. Blood sugar spikes can collide with diabetes medications. Extra refined carbs can strain the kidneys. Crash can cause dizziness and fatigue. It's not fuel, it's a liability dressed up in clean branding. A half cup is a tiny portion. Most people pour double without measuring. That can easily mean 30 grams of sugar in one sitting, nearly an entire day's safe limit for women in a single breakfast. The real fix costs less and takes under 5 minutes. Rolled oats lightly toasted, a teaspoon of real honey drizzled on top, and a handful of nuts. 4. Quaker Oats honey and almonds granola. Pour it into a bowl and the clusters clump together, glossy and heavy, more like brittle candy than breakfast. The first bite is a hard, sweet crunch that coats your teeth in a glaze. It feels less like fueling your body and more like chewing crystallized honeycomb. Quaker markets this as wholesome. Honey and almonds paint a picture of nature and simplicity. But the label shows 260 calories per 2/3 cup and 13 grams of sugar. Sugar climbs early on the ingredient list, oats headline, but sweetness dominates. For seniors, this hits hard in a specific way. Quaker has been around forever, and that history builds trust. But sugar loads like this can spike blood pressure, interfere with heart medications, and leave kidneys working overtime. Steady morning energy becomes a dizzy crash by mid-morning. One forum user captured it perfectly: frosted flakes with a gym membership. The FDA doesn't crack down on healthy branding unless there's a clear violation, which leaves plenty of room for feel-good labels that don't reflect what's actually in the bag. Keep it simple. Raw oats in a pan, a handful of almonds, a light drizzle of real honey. You'll taste more crunch, less sugar, and know exactly what you're eating. 3. Safe Plus Fair chocolate chip cookie dough granola in the bag, and that cookie dough smell hits you immediately. But don't expect soft dough. Each cluster crunches like sticky candy rocks. It's the kind of crunch that feels manufactured, like sugar-coated gravel. The label reads just 7 grams of sugar. But look closer, that's per 1/3 cup, which is a tiny portion. Pour a realistic bowl and you've already doubled it to 14 grams before adding milk or yogurt. That's nutrition label trickery at its cleanest. Shrink the serving size, shrink the problem on paper, while your body still absorbs the real load. The name Safe Plus Fair creates a sense of trust. But what's safe about a morning sugar spike? What's fair about marketing a cookie crumble as functional fuel? For anyone managing blood pressure or diabetes, a double portion, which most people pour without thinking, means a sugar surge that puts the kidneys under pressure and forces the pancreas into overdrive. Add in the dried mix-ins and oils and you're straining your system before the day has started. Nutritionists have called it out plainly. One dietitian described it as cookie crumbs marketed as breakfast. The FDA doesn't police serving size tricks, so brands like this operate freely. The simple fix: plain oats, a few dark chocolate shavings, and a handful of walnuts. crunch and flavor without the label game. 2. Bare naked fruit and nut granola. It sounds earthy, fruit and nuts, rustic and wholesome. But pour it into a bowl and what you see are sticky clumps that glisten like they've been lacquered. Each bite is a sugar-glazed rock. You're not crunching oats. You're crunching candy in disguise. The label shows a half-cup serving with 270 calories, 13 grams of sugar, and 2.5 grams of saturated fat. That's 13% of your daily saturated fat in what's promoted as breakfast fuel. And this granola doesn't stop at one sweetener. It's built on 4, cane sugar, brown rice syrup, honey, and molasses. A sweetener cocktail glued around oats. The natural label creates trust. Whole grains, fruit, and nuts all sound right. But the FDA allows the natural stamp as long as no artificial dyes are used, which leaves plenty of room for processed sugars to hide behind clean-sounding packaging. For older adults, this is a morning ambush. A sugar spike slams blood pressure and forces the kidneys to filter excess glucose. Pair that with saturated fat and you're adding strain to cholesterol levels at the same time. For anyone on heart or diabetes medication, this isn't breakfast, it's a compounding problem. One dietitian put it directly: you're better off with a handful of actual nuts and fresh fruit. At least those haven't been glazed and bagged. Keep it real. Slice up an apple, toss in some unsalted almonds or walnuts, mix with plain oats for crunch. Real food, no glaze, no label tricks. 1. Honey bunches of oats, honey roasted granola, the worst, golden clusters, a sweet honey smell, a box that looks like it belongs in a farmhouse kitchen. But don't let that fool you. That golden glow is really a sugar lacquer baked onto every flake. This is less breakfast, more candy shop with a fake health badge. A half-cup serving checks in at 230 calories and 12 grams of sugar. That's before you pour a bigger bowl, which, let's be realistic, most people do. Double the serving and you're at 24 grams of sugar, equivalent to eating 2 glazed donuts. The American Heart Association flags that as half of your daily sugar allowance in one sitting. The packaging promises comfort, health, and energy. But reading the fine print reveals sugar listed multiple times under different names. Food scientists call it sugar splitting. Spread the sweetener across the label under separate names and it doesn't look as alarming. In practice, it's one large sugar pile hidden in plain sight. For seniors, this isn't a minor issue. A breakfast like this causes blood sugar to spike and then crash hard. That cycle stresses the kidneys, pushes the pancreas into overdrive, and leaves you hungry within the hour. For anyone on blood pressure or cholesterol medication, sugar-heavy carbs can interfere with how the body processes those drugs. You're not starting the day with energy, you're starting the day already behind. One nutritionist quipped, they should rename it honey bunches of sugar and regret. The fix is in your own hands. Toast plain oats slightly and drizzle your own teaspoon of real honey. You control the sweetness. Your body won't be hit with hidden syrups and you'll actually feel the difference by mid-morning. The safe picks: 1. Kind healthy grains, raspberry granola with chia seeds. Open this bag and there's no sugar bomb fumes. Instead, there's a light, genuine fruity smell from real raspberries. The clusters are loose and earthy, with chia seeds peppered throughout. You can actually tell it's made from grains, not glued together with processed syrup. A serving comes in around 7 grams of sugar, nearly half of what you'd find in honey roasted or cookie dough options. Calories sit in the mid-200s, but unlike the sugar bombs on the avoid list, most of that comes from whole grains and seeds rather than sweetener systems. Chia seeds bring omega-3 fatty acids, the same heart protective fats that doctors routinely recommend. The fiber helps keep digestion steady and avoids the blood sugar roller coaster that dominates the rest of this list. For seniors, those extra teaspoons of sugar aren't just empty calories. They push blood pressure up, strain the kidneys, and can cancel out the steady effect of morning medications. Kind's lower sugar load means you sidestep those landmines while still getting real crunch and flavor. It's not a perfect product, but compared to the sugar lacquered options filling the cereal aisle, this one delivers on at least some of its promises. 2. ID's gluten-free natural granola, the best pick. Open this bag and it doesn't reek of fake vanilla or candy sweet glaze. What you smell is oats gently toasted with just a touch of honey. No neon sprinkles, no gummy sugar clumps on your fingers. It looks and feels like food, not a snack aisle gimmick. A serving comes in with far less sugar than the honey roasted crowd. There's no stack of syrups hiding under fancy ingredient names. The sweetener is plain honey, the same thing you could spoon out yourself at home. Saturated fat is practically absent, which matters for seniors managing cholesterol and blood pressure medications. Stable energy beats a sugar crash every single time. Uddies demonstrates what the big brands consistently avoid showing you. Granola doesn't need to be loaded with candy to taste satisfying. It doesn't need for different sugars, corn syrup, and mystery natural flavors. Whole oats, a drizzle of real honey, and a little care in the process are genuinely enough. Pair Uddies with fresh fruit, toss it over yogurt, or fold it into a smoothie bowl. You get natural sweetness from berries or bananas plus the crunch from oats, without tipping into sugar overload. Simple, clean, and you can actually taste what you're eating. This is breakfast that actually has your back.